Gavin Southwell built a billion-dollar business while carrying a grief most people never survive. Gavin Southwell grew up poor in the north of England. The kind of place where moving to London is a big deal. He did that, then moved to America and then proceeded to ring the opening bell at the Nasdaq twice. "I'm from a poor part of northern England," he says. Moving to London was a big deal. Ringing the bell at the Nasdaq as CEO, knowing that we had outperformed Apple, Amazon, Facebook, everybody. That we were no one and that we had done it the right way. That was cool. The company he led was ranked by Fortune magazine as the #1 fastest-growing public company in America for 3 consecutive years, 2017 through 2019. Amazon came in at #9 that year. Facebook at #6. Southwell was ahead of them both. His firm had also recorded the lowest complaint percentage in its industry. By any measure, it was a run that most executives spend entire careers chasing. What the rankings did not capture was what it cost to get there. In the years before his company's ascent, Southwell lost his son. The grief that followed, he says, rewired something fundamental in how he understood work, life, and what it means to lead. He is not one for extended introspection in public. But when he does talk about that period, the words come out plain and careful. "A defining moment was when I realized that there are more important things than money," he says. "That bad things happen, and it's how you react to that darkness which will define you." After losing his son, Southwell threw himself into charity fundraising, organizing and completing cycling events across the United Kingdom, among other efforts. Then he took the CEO job in the United States at a technology company operating in the health and life insurance space. The business grew into something significant. It helped millions of Americans access healthcare coverage, many for the first time, at a moment when the cost of care was pricing out working families across the country. For Southwell, that mission was personal. As that business grew, we helped millions of Americans protect themselves and their families, most for the first time due to the high cost of healthcare in the USA, he says. The company trained thousands of workers, many from blue-collar backgrounds, to become licensed insurance agents. Around 70% of the workforce was female. Around 75% were minorities. It was, by his account, one of the most diverse technology businesses of its era. He still keeps a mental folder of the letters and emails sent by people who said the coverage his company connected them with saved their lives. Tens of thousands of them, by his reckoning. Gavin Southwell's road to the top ran through London and Lloyd's of London. Before the Nasdaq bells, before the Fortune rankings, Gavin Southwell spent the early years of his career building things that quietly changed the insurance industry. He was part of the team that created the world's first quote-buy print insurance business, a product eventually acquired by the world's largest insurer and deployed in personal lines markets around the globe. At Beazley, the Lloyd's insurer, he served as risk manager and helped the firm become the first Lloyd's syndicate to be rated strong for risk management. He later joined a privately owned insurance broker in London. Within a few years of serving as COO, the company had grown into the largest privately owned insurance broker in the world. During that stretch, the firm held the largest insurance contract in the world, covering Venezuela's state oil companies, and operated as the largest broker across most of Latin America. It won London Broker of the Year, Transaction of the Year, Claims Team of the Year, after its Chile office helped pay out billions in claims following the 2010 earthquake there. The company was eventually sold to private equity. Two of the people who shaped him most in those years, he says, never received the recognition their work deserved outside industry circles. Andrew Beazley, who built the second largest Lloyd's syndicate and gave Southwell his first significant role at a young age, died without a bad word said about him. When he died, hundreds went to pay respects, Southwell says. "I've never heard a bad word about him. What a legacy." Warren Buffett, whom Southwell met several times at a gathering of leading American business figures, also made an impression, less for his wealth than for his demeanor. He was very smart, fun and friendly, Southwell says. In that crowd, that really stood out. Building a company that the White House quoted when the company Southwell ran became the #1 fastest growing public company in America, its data on healthcare access became something Washington wanted to cite. Fox News quoted it. CNN quoted it. The White House and the President cited it. The firm had been reviewed and monitored by 43 states, each of which signed off on its compliance record over several years. That kind of reach, Southwell says, came from doing the work right and letting the numbers speak. The data Southwell's team generated was not incidental. It was central to what the business had become. In an industry where consumer trust is hard to earn and easy to lose, his company had built something unusual, a tech-driven operation with verifiable, market-leading compliance and a complaints rate that held up under scrutiny from dozens of state regulators simultaneously. For Southwell, a self-described data obsessive, that was never just a talking point. It was proof. Facts matter, data is important, he says. It's the kind of line that sounds like a bumper sticker until you understand what he was defending it against. The statistics on America's healthcare access crisis are not comfortable reading. Millions of people unable to afford basic coverage. Families rationing medication. Workers one diagnosis away from financial ruin. Southwell's business sat in the middle of that problem and, by his account, helped move the needle. That is what the White House was citing. That is what the data showed. The agent who swam with dolphins in the speech at a birthday party. Southwell tells two stories about the human side of what he built, and neither of them is about a stock price. The first involves an insurance agent at his company, a woman who had been living with her 2 children in her mother's house. After qualifying for a top performer trip to the Bahamas, she told Southwell how she had taken swimming lessons for the first time so she could swim with dolphins and how she had moved into her own place. How the trip meant even more because she had family on the island she had never met. All of it, she told him, was possible because she spent her days helping people who looked like her access healthcare for the first time. The second story is about a colleague whose father, seriously ill at the time, attended his son's birthday party and gave a speech. He thanked Southwell for believing in his son, for helping him buy the house they were all standing in, for giving him the chance to build a life. Not many people say thank you when you help them progress in their careers, Southwell says. It meant a lot at the time. He pauses, then adds a footnote, the colleague later betrayed him. It was still a nice moment, he says. What Gavin Southwell does now and how he defines a good life. Gavin Southwell is now an advisor and investor to technology-focused growth businesses, with a particular interest in markets where inefficiencies or consumer problems can be addressed by technology and artificial intelligence. He exercises. He meditates. He says he has only recently worked out the work-life balance question, and he frames the answer simply: quality over quantity. Presence over hours. I've learned how precious time is, he says. You should make the most of each day, stay in the present. You can always work more, but quality is better than quantity. He does not want to be famous. Says he does not care what people who do not know him think. His definition of success is narrow and deliberate. I care about family and friends, and I want them to know that I'm doing well and living a good life, he says. That just means trying to be happy and content. The advice he would give his younger self is short. Be brave. Do your best. That'll be enough. From a poor corner of northern England to 2 Nasdaq bells, from Lloyd's of London to the halls of a fortune rankings list, from grief to something that looks a lot like peace. It is, by most measures, enough.